Hello guys, today's topic is about a book Beyond Good and Evil written by Friedrich Nietzsche. So Friedrich Nietzsche was a philosopher, and he was a famous philosopher because he didn't used to say philosophy about based upon some good morality or something like that. He wants to convey the reality to the viewers of his book and the readers. He wanted them to read something real which happens in the real life, which is not fairy tale, or which concept is so good but not true. He wanted to give his reader the reality which they'll face in their life. So he wrote a book Beyond Good and Evil. His main target was to tell people not to see philosophy as uh, the traditional way, how people used to see, or people are seeing the philosophy in a traditional way. Like some philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and all the other philosophers, Plato and other philosophers, write about philosophy in a good way. They talk about morality, they talk about uh, some things about life which make you improve. But Frederick says, is that real? Is it is just another motivation to you all? Matlab, after reading them, you'll get a motivation. But Frederick says it will not always be the real part. The reality is sometimes bitter and sometimes sweet. Most of the time, according to Frederick, it is bitter. Life is tough, and he tells about it in this book, how philosophers are type of bias about their opinions. So yeah. So the first chapter is prejudices of philosopher. The first subtopic is will to truth, the philosopher and the drive to find the truth is an idea which is useless to Nietzsche. He says, why do we have to find the truth? Why don't we stay in the untruthful world, or the society with false ideology, or why we should find a world with certainty? Why we shouldn't leave the uncertain world? Not why not even ignorance? Then Nietzsche says or explains that philosophers derive their conclusion through some biasness, as we talked about in the last video. There are some biasness. The original idea they think they have is actually just a biased thought in their mind. And he says the truth is actually one, but shaped in different ways in every different guy, in different ideology or different shapes. He says philosopher reasoning is reactive, not proactive, as if they react on their emotions or they write on their emotion, but not the logical sense of the universe. For this, he gives a beautiful example of Stoic ideology or Stoic mindset. He says the Stoics believe that there is a power which controls everything. They say, to be exact, I'll say, in Stoic ideology, they talk about some power that governs the universe, and there are things which are out of their control. So it means if something is out of their control, it means someone is controlling the things which are out of the people or the humans control. So this ideology, the Stoic ideology, is inclined towards the faith. It means in Stoic ideology you have to have faith in that power which governs the universe. So Nietzsche asked them the question, why do they think the way they think? It means, what if the world is ruthless? What if there is no place of justice and the mercy? He says Stoic ideology is not acting upon the nature or not acting with the nature. It is trying to recreate the nature as they desire. It is creating the world in its own image was said by Nietzsche, which I feel is true, because when we idealize something or we think in faith, we cut off the logical sense of our part. It doesn't mean we shouldn't have faith on something or some power, but the logical part should be used till it is done, means there is no logic ahead, and the logic part should be calculated to its full potential. Then only you will get some knowledge and some information which you didn't believe before. So this is the first thing, will to. So the second topic Frederick talks about, or the second subtopic Frederick's talk about, is fate in antithetical values. He says we people divide our world or our situation or our conclusion into two parts, good and evil. And there are some examples for it: positive and negative, your conscious thinking or your instincts, or appearance and reality, or many more examples are there. So we assume that there are two different parts, but in Nietzsche's opinion, actually they are a same thing. They are the same. They should be concluded in a same optical view. They shouldn't be differentiated from each other. Nietzsche says that we should transcend the dualistic way of thinking. We should not think dualistical way. We should just follow. We should use them in a same condition to find out the truth, rather than inclining towards one of them. Either we always say the truth or talk about the truth. We don't see the false or the other opinion or the other side of it. And if we talk false or we talk negative or any other thing, we don't see the other side of it, vice versa. So yeah, he says we must go beyond good and evil. So the third topic Frederick talk about is appearance and reality. He wants to first he differentiates between appearance and reality. He tells appearance in this word could be deceiving. It means it changes from person to person. If this appears or this headphones appears to you as great or good, and in my view or as they appear to me, they are not worth it. So we have different opinion on a thing based off their appearances, and this could change person to person. And then he talks about reality. Reality is where you can't change. You could have your opinion, but you can't change the truth about the thing. If these earphones have a certain quality or a certain benchmark of good, you can't deny that fact based on their research. You can't just deny the research. So that is the reality part of Frederick's opinion. And he says that the delusion of appearances devalues life, which is absolutely true. If something appears good or something appears helpful to you, but in reality it does not. But if something is really good for you but doesn't appear to you or doesn't have a good appearance, you will not take the advice or you will not take the situation or the thing. So he says it is just a result of philosopher extracting their will to power, in that because they dislike the reality, they rewrite it and see and write the reality as it appears to them. If you don't like something, you'll change its appearances in your mind and perceive that thing in that way for your whole life. So that is what Friedrich saying. When the philosopher dislike a reality, they change its appearances just to soothe their egos or just to make the reality comfortable for them. So they change the reality and changes its appearances just to comfort their egos. And next point Nietzsche talks about is immediate certainty. There is a famous statement, I think, therefore I am. So the statement says, if I think, to think I have to be present in the present tense or the present timeline. So if I am present in the present timeline, therefore I could think. So it is a statement which says or tells you a certain thing, which is you are present in this timeline or the present tense. But in Nietzsche's opinion, it is wrong to assume that there is only a single I in the statement, and that single I is the center of the thoughts. He also says a thought comes, when it wants, not when I want. So it is a falsification of the fact to say the subject I is a condition of the prejudiced thinking. So he says, whenever we say I think, therefore I am, it is wrong because the thought comes when it comes, not when you want it. So, in Nietzsche's opinion, the certainty or the part of immediate certainty is not true, and he says it is just the waste of time and the fact of course you are present at the timeline. Why do you have to make a conclusion out of it? And deriving a thought on it is just as useless. So yeah, in the next topic, Friedrich talks about self-preservation, the theory of Darwin. Actually, he disagrees with the theory of Darwin. So let me tell you the theory of Darwin. Darwin says, for a species, self-preservation is the priority in every species. It means to reproduce and preserve their species by their ideas and the surviving cells. But in Nietzsche's opinion, it is not true. Friedrich says a living thing will prioritize a power, a state of power above all. For a living thing, the power is a useful tool to dominate his opponent or the other species for survival. In my opinion, it is not wrong. For every guy, power is an important tool or a key for success. And I don't know why people think that power is actually not that great for you. In my opinion, power is actually good for you in many cases, where it will help you to stand in an argument, or it will help you to conquer your fears of thinking. And this thinking is not the slavery morality where people tend to have slave morality. It opposes the idea of slave morality, which is great. This will to perfect and transcend the self and exert one creativity and power. So with the power on its head or the priority of a being, they'll try their best to become the best. If you are the best, you have the power or you have the sources. So to conquer or to have power, you need to do hard work, which is not bad. Hard work is the key to success, and in this case, power is the success. If you have the power, you'll have the success. And the next and the last topic of the first chapter, it talks about free will. We must believe that we, in our course of life, we have many choices, or we have the free will to choose anything. But actually, it is not fully true. Our current situation is determined from our previous actions. So, if we calculate our previous actions or we calculate our present action, we can predict what will be the choices of our life, or what choices will we get in the next situation or the continuous situation. So this is actually a good thing, because if you are in a bad situation, you can calculate ahead what could be the situation, how could you reduce the acceleration of the situation, or how could you fast the process, how could you either stop the process or make some conclusion, or make a third way where you have some conclusion which is not predictable. But actually, there is nothing like that. Everything could be predicted, and at the end, you have some limited choices. So, yeah, Nietzsche says actually there is no such thing as free will, and I agree with that. Free will in present time, it is not true until and unless you have the knowledge of everything in the universe. Then only you will have the free will, because you could calculate in many more things and many more reasoning. So yeah, and that is it for today's video.